Oh, good. 5 of us in the same car for 7 hours. That's gonna be fun. Next time on Landman.
You don't even know what game you're playing, do you?
Let's not forget who we're burying, all right?
Let's be honest. Season 2 was a slow burn that ended like a grenade going off. And if you want to understand why Season 3 is going to hit so differently, you have to go back and really look at every decision Cammy made that led her to this moment. Because none of this happened overnight. It was a series of choices, one after another, each one worse than the last, and each one pulling her further away from the people who were actually keeping MTEX alive. After Monty died, Cammy didn't just lose her husband, she lost the person who was the foundation of everything she knew. And instead of stepping back and letting the people around her do what they do best, she doubled down. She convinced herself that the only way to honor Monty was to keep his company running, to prove that she could be more than just his widow. And look, I get it on a human level. Grief does strange things to people. It makes you hold on tighter when you should be letting go. It makes you push harder when you should be asking for help. But the problem with Cammy was that her grief turned into obsession, and her obsession turned into bad decisions. And her bad decisions started costing everyone around her in ways that couldn't be undone. Tommy was the first one to see it. He tried to tell her. He watched her spiral. And he stayed anyway because that's who Tommy is. He's not the kind of man who walks away when things get hard. He stayed through the chaos, through the bad calls, through the moments where Cammy was clearly running on emotion instead of strategy. And Nate was right there too, trying to be the voice of reason, telling her to slow down, telling her to look at what she was doing to herself and to the company. But Cammy didn't want reason. She wanted control. And when someone is that desperate for control, they stop listening to the people who are actually trying to help them. Then came the moment that changed everything. She fired Tommy. It was personal. It was Cammy saying that she didn't need the one person who had kept things together more than anyone else. And the way she did it, without hesitation, without really thinking through what it would mean for the company, for Galino, for everything, that told you everything you needed to know about where her head was at. She wasn't thinking clearly. She was reacting. And that reaction cost her everything. Because right after she fired Tommy, she called Nate. And I think she genuinely believed Nate would say yes. She thought that because Nate was loyal to MTEX and loyal to her by extension, he would step into Tommy's role and things would just continue. But what Cammy never fully understood was that Nate's loyalty was never really to MTEX. It was to Tommy. Those two men have a bond that goes beyond work, beyond paychecks, beyond company titles. They've been through things together that you can't just replace with a job offer. So Nate said no. And in that moment, Cammy lost both of them at once. And then came the documents. The mysterious papers with no electronic record, hidden away like Monty knew something that nobody else was supposed to find out. When Cammy found them, she asked Nate what she should do, and he told her to dig deeper, to find out why Monty hid them in the first place. And that right there is the thread that Season 3 is going to pull on hard. Because whatever is in those documents, whatever secret Monty was sitting on, it's not going to make Cammy's life easier, it's going to make everything more complicated. And now she has to face it completely alone. No Tommy. No Nate by her side every step of the way. No Galino, because as we found out, Galino's support was always conditional on Tommy being in the picture. The moment Tommy was gone, Galino's interest in MTEX went with him. So when the Season 3 trailer shows Cammy begging Tommy, this is the full weight of everything that brought her to that point. Every bad decision, every burn. And now, she's standing in front of the man she fired, the man she underestimated, the man who went out and built something better without her. And she's asking for help. That's not just a dramatic trailer moment. That's the entire arc of her character reaching its most painful conclusion. Meanwhile, Tommy didn't sit around feeling sorry for himself. That's not who he is. The man walked out of MTEX and went straight to Galino with a new idea, a new vision, and the kind of confidence that makes you stop and just stare. Getting Galino to write a $44 million check for a brand new company is not something most people could pull off. But Tommy did it. And CTT was born. Cooper, Tommy, and Thomas. A family business built from scratch, with Tommy as vice president, Cooper as president, Rebecca as COO and chief counsel, Nate handling the finances, Dale running exploration, Boss with the crew, Thomas in charge of drilling, and Ariana managing the office. It's a full team. It's a real operation. And it started from nothing but Tommy's word and Galino's belief in him. Season 3 is their story now, and Cammy is going to have to figure out how to survive in a world where CTT exists, and she's standing on the outside of it. When that trailer moment hit, the one where Cammy is clearly in a position of desperation in front of Tommy, it wasn't just shocking because of what it looked like on the surface. It was shocking because of everything it represents underneath. This is a woman who spent an entire season fighting to prove she didn't need anyone, who fired the most valuable person in her corner without thinking twice, who pushed away every hand that was extended to her. And now, she's the one extending her hand. And the question that the trailer is clearly asking without spelling it out is simple. But on the other hand, what Cammy is asking for, if she's asking for help saving MTechs, would put Tommy in an impossible position, because CTT is his now. That's his company. His son is the president. His people are all in. Walking back into MTechs in any capacity, even just to help, would feel like a betrayal of everything he just built. But here's what makes it even more layered. Those documents. Whatever Monty hid, whatever secret is buried in those papers, it's connected to MTechs in a way that might actually pull Tommy back in whether he wants to be or not. Because if what Monty hid has anything to do with Tommy, with the work they did together, with deals that were made before Monty died, then Tommy isn't just an outsider looking in anymore. He might be part of the problem without even knowing it yet. And that would completely change the dynamic between him and Cammy in Season 3. It stops being about pride and betrayal and starts being about survival for both of them. The trailer also hints at tension within CTT that we need to talk about, because $44 million from Galino sounds incredible, but we all know Galino doesn't give money away out of the goodness of his heart. That investment comes with expectations, it comes with pressure, it comes with the very real possibility that if CTT doesn't perform the way Galino wants, the way Galino needs, things are going to turn dark very quickly. And Tommy knows this. He has to know this. The man has been in this industry long enough to understand that nobody hands you $44 million without wanting something significant in return. So even as CTT celebrates its launch, even as this new team comes together with all this energy and optimism, there's a shadow over all of it. And that shadow has Galino's name on it. What the trailer seems to be setting up is a Season 3 where nothing is safe. Not CTT, not MTechs, not any of the relationships that have been built over 2 seasons. That's a collision course. And the trailer is telling us very clearly that when it hits, it's going to hit hard. There's also something worth noting about Cooper in all of this, because Cooper, being president of CTT, is a massive deal that I don't think everyone is fully appreciating yet. This is a young man who has been living in his father's shadow, learning the business, making mistakes, growing up in the oil fields in a way that most people his age never experience. And now he's the president of a company funded by one of the most powerful and unpredictable men in the industry. That's an enormous amount of pressure on someone who is still figuring out who he is. And if someone decides to use Cooper as leverage against Tommy, which is absolutely something that could happen in this world, we're going to see a side of Tommy that Season 2 only hinted at, because Tommy would burn everything down before he lets his son get hurt. That protective energy is one of the most dangerous things about him. And Season 3 looks like it might finally push it all the way to the edge. Let's talk about CTT properly, because I feel like in all the excitement of seeing Tommy succeed and watching Cammy fall, people are kind of glossing over just how risky this whole setup actually is. Yes, it looks incredible on paper. Yes, the team is stacked. Yes, Galino's investment is massive. But everything about CTT is built on a foundation that is one bad decision, one market shift, one Galino mood swing away from collapsing. And that tension is what's going to drive a huge chunk of Season 3. Start with the name itself. Cooper, Tommy, Thomas. It's a family business in every sense. And family businesses are complicated in ways that regular businesses aren't, because when things go wrong, it doesn't just affect your career. It affects your relationships. It affects your home.